But, you know, I want to bring back a statement you made a few minutes ago talking about how when it gets so nasty that both candidates just look awful, do you think that that is a reason that perhaps younger people, 18 to 32, are kind of turned off with the election process?
Young people and all people are turned off. Nobody enjoys mudslinging. Not when the campaign took a nasty turn. It was nasty from the beginning. When I saw how that was going to develop and what the subject of that was going to be, and that was just personal criticism. Never once did you hear from my opponent tell you, this is why you should elect me to the bench. These are my qualifications that I bring to the table. And it's okay that we be tested. I have the privilege of I'm with the National Association of Women Judges. I hold the position of district director and oversee the activities of those judges in the states of Oklahoma, Texas, and Arkansas. And we talk about with them and women and women judges and male judges from all other states about how they their system of determining the judges that sit in their courts. And there are various systems. Not everybody elects their judges as we do. I happen to be one of those persons that believes that the citizenry, the people of the community, should have a voice in who sits in their courts, not just the governor or the Senate of your state, but the citizens. And so, and I think it's okay to shake up a candidate and test that candidate. I think those things are okay. I just think that there's I don't think
there's definitely a fine line there.
When you engage in mudslinging, when you're the target of mudslinging, and you get mud and you're going to throw it right back at your opponent, I think you're going to wind up with mud all over you too. So
right.
I don't think we serve the community when we engage in those kinds of contests.
And speaking of other parts of the government, a lot of times people don't think of judges as Republican, Democrat, but you have bipartisan support, and that's an important thing. Why is it important for judges? Shouldn't they be above that?
Absolutely. That's the lamentable thing about elections or electing judges. Unfortunately, we are forced under our system to run under a Democratic banner or the Republican banner. I don't make Republican decisions. I don't make Democratic decisions. I make decisions in accordance with the law. I apply the law as it is written, as it exists, to the disputes before us. But so it's unfortunate that we have to run partisan races. That part, I wish the contest part of it is fine. It's running under a Republican banner or a Democratic banner. I reach out to all in the community. And I enjoy support of both Republicans and Democrats. In the primary election, you have to vote along party lines. You report to the Democratic primary site, voting site, or you report to the Republican voting site, and you vote along party lines. But in the general election, you can cross. You can vote for your buddy, the Republican candidates running for X. You can vote for the other person that's running as a Democrat. You can just crisscross, or vote straight Democrat or vote straight Republican. I would hope that persons consider the individual qualifications of the person as they vote, and not necessarily the party line. That's important to some.
But not the most important thing, especially for judges, because like I said, I've always felt myself personally, of course this is my own personal opinion, that that judges should be above that shouldn't be an issue, you know. But talk to me about what you plan to do differently or the same in this time around when you're running.
Well, I came in and I faced a challenging docket. We have 8 district courts in Nueces County. When I took this particular court, it was the 7th most backlogged court. I now am in 4th, 5th place in terms of the total number of cases that I have before me. So I've worked awfully hard to bring the docket under control and to manage the workload of the court, and I'll continue to do that. I have my own goals in terms of production. My staff, and I have a wonderful staff. My staff knows that, they're aware of it, and they are a very, very hard-working staff. I wanted to go back to something you touched a moment ago, and
Sure.
That's how I really, the doors to the courtroom are open to the public. Sometimes people pop their head in and say, "May I help you?" And they'll say, "Oh, I almost like excusing themselves for having walked in." The citizens ought not to feel that way. Those are the courtrooms of the community. Those courtrooms belong to you. And I, as I've said a moment ago, would invite you to come in, to sit down, to observe your various judges, their approach to their work, how they handle the courtroom, the environment of the courtroom. But, Mireya, I am particularly responsive. I'm responsive to all citizens who I see that are just sitting there. Says, "Judge, I'm just observing." Says, "Well, welcome. Thank you for being here."
Right.
But I'm particularly responsive to students who go there. We have students from the university who will have a research project, and they come in as part of their work assignment. I enjoy so much when we have kids there from the junior high schools, from the high schools, from elementary schools. When I'm made aware that there's students there, and sometimes it's obvious because they're wearing their little shirts from their schools or whatever, there's never a time when I have students in my courtroom that I don't go down to the audience part where they sit, shake their hands, visit with them, tell them about the particular case that's in front of me, what's involved, answer their questions, invite questions from them, and just engage with them as they're there in the courtroom.
That's a very, very positive attitude. I didn't know that about you, actually, but it's good to hear, and that's a very positive attitude you take. I'm glad to hear that because, you know, a lot of judges, not necessarily here in Nueces County, but it's just, I guess, part of the job. Once you're there so long, do you think that sometimes maybe they lose touch with other people, or maybe what it was like to be an attorney, or the fear in the attorney when they have to go and talk to the judge about something that they know is going to make a judge unhappy? Do you think that ever happens?
Oh, sure. Sure. I do think sometimes we forget the challenges that the attorney has. I practiced law for 10 years, and I was what you call a solo practitioner, as is Mr. Flores. You're well acquainted with the work of Joe Flores. And sometimes they're required to be in more than one county on the same morning or the same day. And so we've got to have some understanding of that. And not being sensitive to that is forgetting what the practice of law was like for us.